Welcome back everybody to another episode of Dave's Dinners. I think this is week 10. I think it's week 10, I'm kind of lost count. I'm starting to run out of ideas for different dinners that I can do. So tonight I'm not really doing a dinner as such. Well, I suppose it is kind of a dinner, but it's more of a side than like a dinner. But we're having it as a dinner. But I'm making some beetroot, horseradish and potato fritters, and we're having it with some steak. So it's not really a dinner, but we're having it for dinner. Excuse the messy hob. Oh, there's a pea there. A bit of pea. Must have been from yesterday. But I've actually already started this evening by putting some potatoes on, because these take ages to do. And what you want to do is basically get a good portion of potatoes and put them in cold water and then bring them to the boil, and then you've got to let them boil for about 5 minutes, and then you turn the heat off and you kind of let them sit in the water for around about 10 to 15 minutes, because you want to kind of like half cook them. So this takes quite a long time to do, so I've already started doing that. But additionally, what we have here is one lovely beetroot. Unfortunately this is not one from the garden, but we have a lovely beetroot there. I've got one red onion, and I've got a good chunk here of horseradish. Now you don't have to actually use the, is it a vegetable? I suppose it is really. But you can just use like a jar of horseradish instead. And actually onto that, I'm using garlic paste out of a jar instead of garlic for a change. So there you go. You don't have to use fresh vegetables all the time. You can use a jar if you need to. I've also got 3 herbs over here. I've got some dill tops, I've got a bit of parsley and some oregano over there, and we have some gluten-free flour as well, because I'm kind of making these into like burgers or like fritters, so I need the flour to kind of combine it all together. But we have decided to have this with some frying steak, which we're just going to have on the side. No particular reason really, just kind of fancied it, so there you go. You can sort of have whatever you want with it. Maybe you want some chicken, I don't know. But have whatever you like. I'm also going to be using a food processor in this dish, because I'm going to be grating the horseradish, the beetroot and the onion. And we have a food processor with a grating disc on it, so we might as well use it. But you don't have to use it, you can just use a conventional grater, but it's obviously a lot quicker. But first of all, with the horseradish, I'm going to take all the outer skin off, because we don't really want that. My potatoes have just started boiling, so 5 minutes, and then peel the onion, get it ready for the grater, and then prepare for your chopping board to turn into a crime scene after you peel your beetroot, like so. Very messy beetroot, but I love the smell, it's amazing. It kind of like tastes a bit like dirt, and I kind of like that in a weird way. Right, I just want to chop off the root there quickly with the knife. With the knife! Ah, there we go. Right, and that's pretty much ready. We just got to wait for the potatoes now, so sit back and relax for about 15 minutes. Got 9 minutes to go, so I'm having a little snack. I'm having some cornflakes and some sprinkles. It's not bad actually. I'm actually going to grate my horseradish by hand in the finer ones, because I don't have a finer grater in the processor. Or I do, but it doesn't work very well, so I'll just do this by hand. That should just about do it. I didn't actually use the whole thing, but I think there's enough horseradish there. I don't want too much, so we'll go with that. The potatoes are cooked. Well, not cooked, they're like half cooked. And what I want to do now is peel them. And the reason I'm peeling them after cooking them and not before is because you want them to cook and absorb as little water as possible to keep them the right consistency. It's very much the same as when you're making gnocchi as well, because if they're wet, then they don't really mould particularly well. Ah, this is really hot. I should probably let it cool down a bit, but I've been waiting long enough. Ah. I also forgot to mention, you do want to preheat your oven as well. It's a good idea to do it now. If you just stick it on, well, around about, I don't know, gas mark 7 or 200 Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit, I don't know. So do that now, so it's nice and hot for when it goes in. Oh, it's burning my hands. So this is the disc I'm going to be using. And you can see it's got like the gratey things on it, and it's amazing because it makes grating so much easier. But that's ready to go. So in the top here I've just got kind of like a little chute to drop everything in, and I'm going to get it going and just kind of put everything in, nice and easy. Push it down, a bit of potato, bit of onion, bit of beetroot. So if we take this off, there should be a big bundle of lovely grated vegetables. Look how good that looks. I'm going to tip this into a bigger bowl and chuck in the herbs and the horseradish and stuff, and then mix them all up with a bit of flour to make the patties. So if we get our bowl out, I'll tell you what, I'll do the herbs first before I get greasy hands. But I've got some dill, just put a bit of that in there. And the same with the oregano, a bit of parsley. And then the horseradish, that can go in there. And then I've got my garlic paste. I'm going to do, I don't know, like a heaped teaspoon. And then we'll chuck all of this in there. Oh, let's get all that out. You want to get a bit of plain flour, just to try and help it bind. This is gluten-free flour. And then just kind of like mix it all up with your hands. It should be really like sticky, so then you can mould them into nice patty shapes, and they should hold their shape really well. So you can have these as big or as small as you like. I'm going to do them kind of like not too big, but enough for maybe like 4 each maybe. So kind of, I don't know, about that size really. I'm going to do that, but like I said, you can do them as big as you want or as small as you want, just whatever you like really. So I ended up getting 7 on there. So we're going to have 3.5 each, or 4 and 3, depending on how hungry we are. But we're going to go over to the hob now and seal these in the pan before putting it in the oven. So you want a bit of oil in there, reasonably high heat, nothing too mental, but you just want to kind of like seal the edges, so medium to high. And then once it's heated up slightly, use some tongs or whatever really, just place them in there. I'm hoping they're all going to fit. Yeah, they'll be alright. And then you literally just want to cook them until they're like a nice golden colour, and then flip them over until they're nice and golden on the other side as well. Right, so these look pretty good to me on both sides, nice and golden. I'm just going to place them on my baking tray. We always use tin foil because it means you don't have to wash up the tray. Sneaky, sneaky. And then these can go into the oven for around about 15 to 20 minutes. 15 minutes should be plenty, but after that they should be lovely and cooked in the middle and crispy on the outside, so they should be absolutely delicious. 20 minutes later, look how good they look. I left them in there for an extra 5. I did check them at 15 and I didn't think they were quite ready, so I gave them another 5. So they're in there for 20 minutes, but they're nice and crispy. But there we have it, guys. Some beetroot, parsnip and potato fritters, or burgers or Rosties or whatever you want to call it. But you can have it with anything really, or have it as a side dish for a party or whatever. But it's really delicious, and it's vegetarian, and it's, yeah, absolutely lovely jubbly. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and comment down below if you've tried it. And make sure you come back next week for another episode of Dave's Dinners. Bye bye.